This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing.
Welcome to Tough Talk Tuesday. As always, I'm your host, Lucas Biggers. Along me, beside me, I got James, I got Rob. How's it going, everybody?
Going pretty good.
Good to have you on. A great weekend of fights, guys. Let's jump into it and talk Claressa Shields. She was victorious this weekend. What does it mean, Rob? What does it mean? Does it really mean anything?
First of all, yeet. Had to get that out there, everybody. Now, what was it again, Lucas? I was sharing my Facebook Live when you asked that.
Well, we're starting the night with Claressa and her victory. And what did it mean? Did it really mean anything this win?
Well, actually, I gotta give respect, a lot of respect, because she revealed pretty much after the fight that she hurt her shoulder. And they're even talking about possible surgery to repair the shoulder. So she really hurt the shoulder bad about a week or two ago prior to the fight. She didn't tell nobody. She didn't complain. She kept in it. And not only did she keep in it, but she performed at, I think she performed at 100%, even with a bum shoulder. Now, a lot of people will probably talk down on her competition, but that was another champion at this division that she fought and beat pretty brutal. So Claressa is bad, man. She's a bad female out there.
I don't think there's any debate of that, Rob. I think we've all said Claressa Shields is very talented. It's just, that the lack of talent that she faces. That's about it for her,
She had a huge fight, the huge fight with Marshall. She had a huge fight with Marshall, and that caught big eyes on that one. Ever since then, she hasn't done nothing since. Yes. The competition has gone down. So, and then she tries different things with this MMA launch push that she tried. I don't think it's a good look for her when she tries to do it all on her own. We've said that here before. When you look at the previous times where you had Christy Martin, she went under Tyson. She took the undercards of the Tyson fights. She's a legend in the sport. Claressa is gonna have to do the same. It's time for her to stop pushing it. She's doing these shows in Flint. Nobody goes to Flint, Michigan to watch a fight no more. I'm sorry. They don't. So she's going to have to get under one of these guys' wing. It's time for her to do that.
No, I agree with what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. She needs to apologize to Jake Paul, try to get some limelight, some spotlight on her so that she can get some bigger fights. I hear that. I mean, I'm kind of in agreement for the most part. James, I'm gonna ask you kind of something similar. I mean, is it just that she has no 1-2 fight? I mean, this Danielle Perkins is 42 years old. I mean, 5-0, but yeah. It's like you're seeing somebody who with not a lot of experience, and you're 42 years old. Is there just that much lack of talent for her to face?
There's very few that can compete with her at that weight, or a few divisions lower. There's just no one there, and it speaks to her abilities, and she's not very shy about it either. She was letting it all hang out this weekend, and good for her, man. There's just not, in the weight division, a lot of competition there. The one name that comes up is Cruz, Dezern, but I don't think she's a heavyweight, and there's not a lot of competition there for her, man. Let's just face it.
Yeah,
she hit it at a point where
It's like a Klitschko era almost.
Kind of,
That's,
yeah, it's one of those things
he's
where,
at the top, and there's really nowhere to punch but down.
yeah, no, and she's got all the showmanship in the world, and she's got a lot to prove, and she's got the chip on her shoulder, and she's got all the good things. She's got all the ingredients, to make a champion, with all the bells and whistles, meaning, the flamboyancy and all the baubles and everything. And the belts, of course, the belts, but she just doesn't have that level of competition. Whenever we see her, first question coming up is, who is this opponent? It's like, no one knows. I had never heard of her opponent before. Right. And she didn't really have much of a record either. So, and about, I think, a 2-year layoff. So it's really, right. It's just the way it is now. She just hit it at the right time.
Yeah, it's hard to say that any of these fights are have much meaning to them. So it's
true.
But no, it's Rob. I'm not having any glitch, and I'm hoping everybody's able to view the show okay. If not, please comment that you're having some technical difficulties, if you will. But Javi, Claressa Shields, what is she to do? Where do we go from here?
First of all, she needs to drop that shit if she want to fight a man. That's the number one thing she got to drop. Second of all, she's super talented.
She's to the point that she might have to fight a man. I don't know if there's anybody left for her to fight.
I think part of that shit is what got her in trouble in the first place, man. Where some people, boxing is a very, I would say, in a way, sensitive sport where you can rub off a few people wrong, and it's a wrap, for you, and with the whole thing going on, I feel like she has a problem with opponents as far as having solid competition where she can actually show her skills. I think the lack of knockouts also kind of doesn't help her case. The few antics that she have used prior, pre-fight and all that stuff, the way she goes about certain stuff, some people are not ready for that. I admit it for all that shit, but at the same time, it's like, you're as a fighter, you gotta promote yourself, and either you're gonna promote yourself negatively or you're gonna promote yourself positively. But you gotta promote yourself. You gotta bring that crowd. You gotta make people want to see you win or see you lose. But whatever the case is, make them want to see you. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that comes when you're in a division with a lot of talent. It takes two to tango. So when you have good competition, then automatically your pedigree is gonna come out, your talent is gonna come out, and people have no way to appreciate. But I feel like a lot of Claressa Claressa's gonna be like that one talent where people are gonna appreciate it after, when she's no longer around. That people are probably gonna be like, oh damn, she was actually that good. You know what I'm saying? It sucks because she's so good. She's so good. It's actually bad for her because there's nothing to go around. The few competitions that she has, I would love to see a rematch with Savannah Marshalls. Not sure if that should be, but that's something that got people talking about her. I feel like she can also maybe go down in weight and fight a few girls in there. There's a few killers at 150, 160 for the ladies. So I feel like she has all the talent in the world. Her certain stuff is not really appreciated from her, and something's got to give. I thought that her breakthrough was going to be with Savannah Marshall, which I think at some point he did. But I don't know, maybe her breakthrough is versus Jake Paul, Who knows?
Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know where to go from here, Rob. I mean, what else can she do? And are you against her fighting a man? I mean, is that all the way out of?
Well, that's not possible because Trump said women and men can't compete in the same categories in athletics anymore. So that's not a possibility.
There you go. So again, Trump drop the hammer on that.
Swallow. Yeet. No. Again, swallow your pride. Swallow your pride and go ahead and come on these undercards. Put yourself on the undercard of a Tank fight. Put yourself on the undercard of a Canelo fight. Put yourself on the undercard of Benavidez. Put yourself on the undercard of a heavyweight. Put yourself out there, because if the
I don't think she has a
competition
problem
level,
with that.
if the competition level ain't there, Javi,
Yeah,
then we're gonna want to see you destroy these people on the undercard. They're not
right.
they're not gonna want to see her showcase in Flint, Michigan no more. Please stop doing that.
I feel like Rob. I think part of that
Gotta
is
get back to
because
your home.
I feel like part of that is because one is that's her crowd. So that's a guarantee that people are gonna come out to see her. That's a guarantee. Two, I'm sure it's a lot cheaper to put up a show in Flint, Michigan, than put up a show in Atlantic City,
Hell
New
yeah.
York, Vegas, Los Angeles, stuff like that. It's a lot more. So her promoter is not really trying to risk too much because they don't know what's gonna return. But as far as like her being in the undercard with a well stacked card, I agree with you, and I don't think she'll have a problem with that. But I think like she'll be selective on who's on the card she'll be, because another thing with her is like she's pushing the whole thing with like female rights and sports and boxing and all that stuff. So in a way, like you say, she'll have to swallow her pride, eat her words, and kind of go under the undercards under the man that she so want to be equal to. And in a way, I'm sure she's also gonna be real picky and choosy on who's on the card she's gonna be. Like she wouldn't be on the Jake Paul undercard. I don't think she's gonna put her pride away for that. She might want to be in the undercard, somebody like a Benavidez or Tank or like a more well like a world class fighter, not just the like people that are um YouTubers and stuff like that. As far as like the Arab brothers, I'm not sure also if they want to do business with her, because I'm sure if they wanted to, by now they would have reached out already. So obviously they're not reaching out because they ain't trying to have nothing to do with her. And this is what I mean. This is part of her just messing up her own shit by saying too much, by talking too much, or having certain antics that is like you're not helping your case. And yet yeah, you're here complaining about you're not getting the opportunities and you're not getting that, but you literally blocking the opportunities that might come your way. You burn the bridges before you even cross them. and
Yeah.
and somebody, her team should let her know, like, yo, let's do this shit the other way. There's ways to go about it, you know.
I definitely agree with you there. It seems like the only publicity for Claressa at all has been negative. From the whole fiasco.
Swallow that pride, girl. Swallow that pride. Javi was saying the same sentiment. Swallow that pride.
Yeah, you kind of have to. But I agree, and it sucks because, like Javi said, I mean, great talent, but it's going to be stagnant until she can do something with it. It is what it is. She is almost punished for being too good, and there's going to be widely hated because of it. It's she's gonna have to do something drastic. Somebody's gonna have to come up a couple of weight classes. They're gonna have to meet in some weird freak celebrity type match in order to get people to really see what she can do. But these weight classes almost have no one in them, so she just doesn't have anyone to fight. And so the sport has yet to reach any to a peak where they would have enough to even have discussions of other fights, really. I mean, this is kind of the best that they could offer, as far as I can tell.
I think we're done with that one, Lucas.
Yeah, I think I beat it a little too long. Sorry. Let's move on and talk about Cruz, my man, back in the ring. Angel Fierro, guys. Hell of a fight. Let's hear some assessments, Rob. James, somebody take it.
That was a great fight. Could have been like the co-main, which we'll talk about the co-main in a minute. There were some interesting things in that fight, but this was a great fight. It really was. It was back and forth, and Cruz did what he didn't do in the Venezuela fight. He weathered the storm, so to speak. He weathered the storm, and he took it to his opponent and applied more pressure, even as he was getting hit back. But I have to say it. Hats off to Fierro. He was a live dog in that fight. He was a great competitor. Hell of a chin. Hell of a chin. But if if Pitbull is gonna keep getting in these fights with guys at this caliber, at this level, and he's not gonna make any adjustments or any changes, he's dog meat. You call him Pitbull, I'm gonna call him dog meat, okay? Because you don't want to keep fighting. He can't afford to keep fighting that this way and not be dominant and have these settled wars with guys who we don't know who they are coming into this fight. You got to be able to protect your house. You got to be able to be the pit bull that you claim to be and stomp out some of these guys. And he's not doing it. To me, bad news for Pitbull.
Well, I gotta say, if there was ever an award for Chin of the Year, this guy takes it. I mean, he weathered a lot of punches early on. I didn't think after watching the first round, that it wasn't to go much further. But he had his moments later on in the fight. How he withstood all those blows from Pitbull is a surprise, man. I'm really, really shocked that this guy was on his feet at the end bell, the last bell. That in itself was impressive because he took a lot of leather. I mean, this guy was eating leather in every round. There was a few, I think it was the seventh, where he actually backed up Pitbull a little bit. But I'm astonished. I'm amazed at how resilient this kid is, and I knew it from having watched him in the past that he's tough. I just didn't know how tough. And I thought that Pitbull, Isaac Cruz, would have a good contender, but not for the duration. So I'm really, really shocked. And I got to say, Pitbull seems to have improved a little bit. I actually saw him move his head once.
Not enough, James. It's not enough.
No, honestly, there was something that I caught where he threw a combination and he was kind of standing there. He doesn't move his head a lot, but then all of a sudden, he ducked, and I thought, okay, so there's a little improvement there because in the past he never did it. I mean, maybe a little bit here and there, but this was more of something that really caught my attention. Punches are pretty much the same. It's the same Pitbull. He's just a little bit showing a little bit more expertise. Man, he punches hard. He really, really brings it. He's an action-packed fighter. I know that in the next fight, whoever he picks up is going to be another action-packed fight. So I can't wait to see him again, man. But I want to say hats off to Fierro for giving us, a really, really good account of himself. And hopefully he got some good cash on this one. And I'm sure if he doesn't retire after this fight, I'm sure we'll enjoy him again pretty soon. I can't wait to see him. But yeah, hats off to Pitbull as well, man. He really put something together after his last loss. This was a kind of a make or break situation for Pitbull. I don't know if you agree with that, but I'm thinking, with that last loss to Valenzuela, he really needed to stand up here, and he came through pretty cool.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think he needed a victory. He just needed a big win. But you guys, it sounds like you guys are in agreement. I mean, I heard a lot of he just eats a lot of leather. What else does he do, though? I mean, he's to that point in his career. Is he just supposed to basically only take the big fights now? Because like you said, Rob, I mean, these accumulation is going to happen of all these punches he's taken over time. We've seen this happen with a lot of fighters, and it slows you down and it eventually stops you. I mean, you look at Rios at the end of his career there, he was getting knocked out by some light-handed guys like Tim Bradley.
I mean, I hate to say it. I want to see more from Pitbull. I want to see a different style. I want to see more pressure. And he gives out a lot of pressure, but without defense backing him up, without ring generalship backing him up. He's just a sitting duck in there for any of these guys, and especially at this weight class.
So
I mean,
you want better work in the pocket. You want to see him slipping punches and returning, not just eating leather.
yeah, he has to, man. He has to, because he's tough. He's definitely tough, but you're not going to be able to slug it out 100% of the time. You're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of people are calling Isaac Cruz, one-sided. James, would you agree he needs to add something to his repertoire? Is there something missing for Isaac Cruz? And if so, guys, who can help him?
Well, I don't know. There's always things you can add. I mean, I wish he had a better jab.
Work his way in a little better, yeah.
Yeah, he has a pretty stiff jab. His footwork is okay. Nothing special there. Hand speed's good. He does eat a lot of punches, so I'm thinking he just needs to work defensively. But that's just not in his. That's just not in his. It's not his style.
That's why I went.
He's come at you with everything he's got, pour it all out in the first round, and it's just his style, man. I don't think it's change.
I agree. I said that. That's why I said more slipping punches, because if you start working on defense, I think Isaac Cruz, you're gonna miss what's good about him. You're gonna have a fighter that no one wants to see, and somebody that's getting beat up now.
All gas and no brakes.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta do something with that. You at least have to have some decent head movement, and he didn't have that. So, yeah. Rob, who would you recommend if you're Isaac and you're his manager? Who are you recommending to get this head movement, get him slipping punches, get him returning fire, and not just eating leather to get his shots off?
I always go back to when Robert Garcia was training Brandon Rios. And if you remember that fight where Brandon was doing this slugfest, and Robert really got in his face in the corner and told him, I think he even slapped him maybe a couple of times and told him, wake up, remember? And he woke the hell up, and that really is what started and launched the career of Brandon Rios. He needs a guy like that to come in that can help him fuel that fire. Just a few little tweaks here and there. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Is just a few little tweaks here and there, but Robert can fuel that fire and teach him how to fight in the pocket like that, how to be rugged, teach him the veteran tricks, that he needs to do to kind of sharpen his tool. But that's really who I would like to see him go in with. But I will say this, as of late, a lot. I haven't seen a big fire in Robert's belly either, in a lot of the fighters and fights that he's been bringing to us. So I think they both help each other. I think Pitbull helps bring the fire back to Robert Garcia, and Robert Garcia can fuel that fire into a world-class fighter.
Well, it's funny you asked that question, and the one thing that comes to mind is that I think his dad's his coach. It's certainly in his corner. I don't know if he's responsible for all the training, but once dad is in charge of shit, things don't improve.
Yeah.
I mean, they hit a wall, and they pretty much keep hitting the same wall over and over again. This kid, Fierro, is not a great boxer. He's a good puncher. He's resilient, he's tough, and he's everything. But I think that when Pitbull sees another great boxer, someone with some good hand speed, some good footwork, a good jab, a really talented boxer, it's going to be the same thing like he had against Valenzuela.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to learn, and a lot of footwork there. I think Robert Garcia is a good pick there. Rob, and Crawford's loaded gloves. I didn't notice that at first. But yeah, I think that's a good pick. But yeah, I agree, James. A lot of father trainers just don't work out. Rare occasion that it does.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, but it's not always the case. Look at Benavidez. I guess he's trained by his dad. I don't know if he's the main trainer though. I don't know if there's someone else in the gym that's helping him out, but if it is, great. Um, but yeah, with Isaac Cruz, maybe because I think he's in Mexico. So you say Robert Garcia, that's an American trainer, or he's in the United States. I don't know that that's going to work out, but if he's in Mexico, maybe it might be a guy like Nacho Beristain. Possibly. I don't know that he's even taking any more fighters because he's up there in age. So there's a possibility that he's not, but who knows? Maybe someone should put in a phone call and figure it out. But yeah, you know what? At this point in his career, I think a change in the corner might be a really, really good thing.
Yeah, I think he has hit a wall. I mean, like you guys said, he's looked the same. So it makes it that much easier. And that's why he's eating leather. He already has that kind of style anyway, that he's going to eat some punches, let alone that anybody that's watched tape, you're telegraphing everything. He just gets by with that pressure and that power. But yeah, I mean, he definitely needs a change for trainer. Guys, let's move on now here. Talk Stephen Fulton and his fight with Brandon Figueroa. Guys, did it live up to the hype? The first was a good fight. How was the rematch?
Not as good.
No, a dud?
It wasn't a dud. No, it was a lot better than that. But I think the first fight, it was just all-out war. And Stephen Fulton did some really, really good, sharp boxing. Fulton is really, really talented. Figueroa is kind of boxer-puncher. He's not a great boxer. He's a pretty decent puncher. He's got good power. He's got good speed. But he's got a lot to work on. Another father-son arrangement there, I think. I know his father was in his corner for a long time. I don't know if he's still doing it. But the real fact is that he's not really changing. He's not really doing anything different. He came into the fight with the same game plan he did in Fulton Figueroa 1. And it's kind of like watching Pitbull do the same thing over and over. If you're not changing and improving, you're losing. And it's pretty much what I see here.
Rob?
Figueroa, and I don't want to be too harsh because I don't want to sound like a hater on this show tonight, so I'm not going to go in and be too harsh on the kid. But at a very young age, he's just showing too many signs of lack of motivation. Really, he is. His last fight was disappointing for him, and he took an opponent that wasn't on the same level, nowhere near a level that Fulton is on, and barely won that bout. And then he comes in as a champion on a big scale. And they're in Las Vegas. They're at T-Mobile Arena. They're on pay-per-view on Prime, Amazon Prime. You would think all the motivation would be there. And he's too young not to draw from that motivation, especially knowing how great the first fight was. You have to come into this bout being better. And he looked worse. Fulton, y'all, was ready. He was on display. The Timbs was working. Okay, we got to talk about those Timbs, right?
I thought that was going to come up.
My man came out with some Timberland boots, okay? And some jeans on, basically. He thought he was in the streets. He was ready for war. That was fun to watch. And Fulton put together an impressive performance. He really did. And people were criticizing him for his last two appearances in the ring that he didn't look this good. Saturday, he was sharp. He was ready. Figueroa, I mean, look, kid, if you're not going to be 100% in it, take a step back. You're young. You got time. Go in the movies or something with that little baby face you got.
Javi, is that what you saw? Figueroa wasn't in it this time. He didn't have that hunger. You're muted or something, buddy.
Oh, my bad, my bad. No, I don't really look for that on a fighter if they motivated or not. Motivation is like a fart; it goes away real quick. What I'm looking for is discipline. I'm looking for how they perform, even when maybe their head is not in the game or they're going with something personal. Um, I feel like sometimes some rematch makes the first fight better, and some rematch makes you be like, the first fight was better than the rematch. Sometimes the expectations become so high that it doesn't deliver to what we expect it to be. This war slugfest is not like that. Some guys make certain adjustment, and it might not look pretty, it might not be fan friendly, but maybe that's what got him the win easier. Take less punishment. It didn't have to go toe to toe, and I think that was what happened here. I don't think Fulton was willing to trade as much this time, and the adjustments were there. I think sometimes it's not pretty to the eye. It's not the most fan friendly thing, but at the same time, it's like that. If that was the game plan, and that's what they went to work with, that's what I'm saying. That's when I look at discipline. The discipline was like, whether you like it or not, that's a game plan. That's what we're gonna do, and that's how we're gonna get the win. And I think that's what they did.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Fulton was out there looking like, don't step on my Timbs. That's what he was.
He was definitely looking like a true New Yorker there. I was surprised he didn't have the New York Yankee cap. And you had the New York Yankee cap, a tank top, and the Timps. That's straight Brooklyn right there.
All right, guys, let's talk Battle of the Davids. David Benavidez versus David Morrell.
Yes, sir.
Good fight. I think most of us picked Benavidez on this one. Let's talk a little bit more about the knockdown too. I wanted to bring that up.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Not really a knockdown, right? I mean,
really, it
I
really
feel like it was.
Yeah,
It was more of like a southpaw orthodox feet tangle knockdown, but it was, and then you gotta remember this is like 11 round. Their legs are tired, they're tired, they're a little fatigued, so their technique is not the most proper one by there. There's a little sloppiness, and Benavidez got caught. To me, that was a legit knockdown. It wasn't the ones that were, the other fighters is rocked and wobbly. It was more like like I say, it was like a tangle of the feet, and also I believe fatigue was a main factor, because if probably would have been the first round, I'm sure Benavidez could have just walked it off, but he was a bit tired where his body just went through it, and he got the countdown. So that was a legit knockdown.
okay. Yeah, no. Rob, James.
I mean, they reviewed it. So you got to give them credit. The referee told them after in between the round, they reviewed the knockdown. Knockdown went under review as well. They reviewed it, and it was ruled a knockdown. So then you can't take nothing away from it. You saw the punch there. You saw the man go down. The referee reacted. They reviewed it, and they got it on tape, and they still said they got it right. So I have no problem with that being a knockdown.
Okay.
What I really wanted to say about that was there was a partial trip. Those things happen. The punch landed or didn't land on his shoulder. It looks like he pretty much picked it up with his arm and blocked it. So there was no real impact there from Morrell. But based on where the referee was standing, there's no way that he could see that glove never really hit anything. There was no impact. But you know what? In the end, Morrell was outclassed, outboxed.
Well, really,
Good. He
Lucas,
did a good fight. He had a
James.
good fight. But I got to tell you this. Morrell stepped up in competition and just came up short. Benavidez has got him on competition, pedigree, speed, power, footwork, everything.
That was going to be my next question: is did David Morrell live up, or how did he disappoint? Like, what? That's what we're going to talk about. But Rob, what were you going to say?
Well, real quick, back to the knockdown. Remember, it didn't count anyway because Morrell gave that point right back up when he punched David after the bell, Benavidez after the bell.
Yeah,
so I mean, there was no harm, no foul there. But to me, that was a pivotal moment right there, and that shows you to what you're asking, Lucas. Morrell was frustrated. Benavidez really frustrated Morrell in there because it's everything that I told you would happen. You have a younger kid, a very strong fighter, very powerful fighter. Most guys aren't used to he's not used to being that tough yet, right? And it's an experience for him. All this whole bout for David Morrell is just a learning experience. Because you have guys like Benavidez, you say all the trash talking, everything going into the fight. And like Benavidez says to everybody, you say one thing coming in, you go out saying another, right? And it's a learning lesson. And that's what it is for David Morrell. So take this experience, humble yourself, and go back to the drawing board. Was he did what I expected. To answer your question, there was nothing that Morrell did in that fight at all that made me think any less of him or more. He did exactly what I expected him to do. He was going to come bring it. He was going to come to fight. That's what David Benavidez wanted him to do. And he did it. He's not that experienced yet. What do I always say? Levels. There are different levels to this game.
Well, right. But the other important point I wanted to make was that sometimes a fight's really, really close and you get that knockdown. So you get that spread of one more point in your favor. And sometimes that's enough to, get you the victory. Well, in this case, the fight was pretty wide open for Benavidez. So it's a good thing. And then the other thing, and I really want to get your opinion on this, you guys, is to me, this fight tells me that we'll never, ever see Canelo fight Benavidez, ever. Just based on who he is and what he does and how he does it. That's Benavidez. I think that ship sailed on Saturday night. What do you guys think?
It is. David Benavidez just so big and empowering. I mean, the way that he fights too, everything about it. I think he's going to have trouble finding opponents. He's going to have to fight the big guys because nobody else really wants any of that. He's going to be fighting better be a ball winner, I hope.
Well, you got to be careful because that could be a trilogy.
Yeah. I mean, it is going to be great no matter what happens there. But I agree. I don't think we will see a Canelo Benavidez at all.
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, I think that fight should be both their next fight, and that should be in May, on May 5 weekend. If not September, right?
I would love that. I would love that, but I have a feeling we're going to go a different route. Because Rob,
it's already being talked about. So we are. It's already in. It's already in the bag. Listen.
It's not official though, but there's a lot of rumors.
It's going to happen. You're right, Lucas. This Canelo fiasco tells you, and what happened Saturday night against David Morrell tells you Canelo will not fight Benavidez. He won't do it. And his excuse is going to be, well, I grabbed a bigger name. Fuck that. Pardon my French, Dad. But I'm so angered behind that. And this is why. And now it's your fault, Lucas, because you done went this path. So now you get to hear the rant. Okay. Now you get to hear the rant.
Okay.
Lucas, you and I both know the corporate world, right? You know how the corporate hierarchy goes. You know how the corporate structure goes.
Hey, don't be getting me fired on here.
Same thing that's happening here with Benavidez and this Canelo stuff, right? Canelo is the supervisor. Benavidez is the employee working his ass off to get to that level. And now it's time for him to get a promotion. And Canelo won't let him get a promotion because he's scared of him being his peer. So instead, he ships him off to a whole nother division where he works his way up and becomes a manager in that division. And then they look at, oh, he went to the next level. It must be because of Canelo and his tutelage in that other division. So we're going to promote Canelo to a senior manager level because Benavidez is now a manager. And then guess what? As a senior manager, now Canelo is the manager of both divisions. So now David Benavidez can't get past him again. So I say all of that to say it's complete, utter BS. This should be a blemish on Canelo's legacy, but it won't be. It won't be. Okay? But you have to fight Benavidez. I'm not interested. And I'm probably the only one. And I don't care. I'm saying this. I'm not interested in a Crawford Canelo fight. I'm gonna get in trouble because I'm gonna get yelled at because I'm smashing stuff in my house.
I'm surprised at what I'm hearing. I'm surprised you don't want Canelo-Crawford. I heard that right.
I'm not interested in that. The styles don't even fit. The styles don't fit right at all. And all this is telling you is what I just said. So you're too scared to fight Benavidez, which if you look at Benavidez, you can see why. Okay? But Canelo don't know that. He's supposed to be the big bad wolf, the baddest man on the planet, right? No, he's so afraid to fight Benavidez that he's going to make Crawford go up 2 weights to fight him when Crawford hasn't even shown us true power at 160, 154. He hasn't shown true power there yet. So I'm not with that, Lucas. It's not the best fighting the best to me. It's not, because Crawford still has stuff to prove at 154, let alone 160, before he can even climb up to 168. And I'm not even saying the weight, the competition. It's not just the weight, it's the competition. Crawford only fights once a year. We don't see him enough. And we damn sure don't see him enough against good, big names. Spence was the biggest name. Spence ain't even in the game no more. He's out of boxing.
Man, I'm so confused. I don't even know how to handle this version of Rob. You sound like me. This is what I've been saying to you for a while, Rob. Basically saying like his resume is not what everybody makes it out to be. Crawford's already been written into the Hall of Fame. I understand he has 2 undisputed championships, but for me, I think there's still a lot to prove. But he's going up and chasing this fight. To me, it means nothing for Crawford, because when Crawford loses, I just dared to be great. I went up 2 weight classes. I never expected to win. And for Canelo, he said, he's went up a couple of weight divisions. Nobody else wants to fight him. I'm fighting him. He's another 2-time undisputed guy that I'm beating. And it's like, dude, but he came up 2 fucking weight classes. Like, make it make sense.
I mean, to his defense, I don't think Canelo's making him go up in weight. Crawford is asking to go at 168 and fight him at that weight.
Yeah, he wants the money. He wants the big money fight, and he doesn't want any of the excuses. So yeah, you're right there.
Right. So because usually we are used to see Canelo bringing the guys up from lower classes. Canelo actually didn't want to do this, which was kind of hypocritical because he made a career out of that. And now he's saying, no, I don't want to buy him because he's gonna come from the lower class, and I'm not gonna get credit for this and that. I remember him saying that in the beginning, and then all of a sudden he's taking the fight. So obviously they put enough money on the table where he's like, you know what? He swallowed his pride, right? That's the today's team. Swallow your pride, take the money, right? So I guess that's what he did, and now, that could happen. I feel I'll be honest with you guys. I got Crawford. I think like Crawford's gonna box his head off. Of course he cannot go trade toe to toe. He doesn't have the strength to do, or he might, but I don't think he's gonna be able to keep up Canelo for too long because Canelo's been comfortable at that class for a little bit longer now. But at the same time, Crawford fights at 154 now. In reality, he walks around around 170. So he's gonna have to make weight. Probably gonna have to bulk up a little bit. I'm not sure how that's gonna help because I feel like after that, I don't think he's gonna be able to go 154 and be the force that he is. But I feel like he can outbox Canelo and surprise all of us. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I'm surprised that Canelo took the fight because he said he wasn't gonna do it. Kind of like what he's saying with Benavidez. He said that Benavidez is the way he's asking for the fight is too mean. He needs to be a little nicer. So Benavidez is gonna have to be nicer now and ask for that fight, the proper way, very polite. Because if you ask for it the wrong way, you're not gonna get it. Canelo.
Yeah.
That's
he says,
that's a
get the fuck out of here.
a diva part of Canelo that I don't understand.
That ain't true. That ain't true. Find him on the streets and
That's what he said.
slap him in the face. Then you'll get the fight.
ESPN confirmed, my boy. ESPN confirmed. Which I'm not sure we touched the subject already, but ESPN is about to be out the door once Top Rank leaves boxing out of there. So it's gonna be Ring, Turkey, Riyadh season. So we're gonna have to put like a little turbo set and watch, get down and watch, and we might have to travel to the Middle East and watch it over there because it looks like most of the big fights are gonna go there. And if somebody is gonna take this sport and carry it from now on, it's this guy, because we had a bunch of people that milk the sport, trying to like suck everything out of it as much as they can, as quick as they can, and all of a sudden you got this one guy that's actually throwing a lot of money in it. And when you take away the money factor, the greed, then you take away corruption. You take away corruption, we might come up with something. ESPN is a great network for sports, but I feel like they're about to throw the towel with boxing. And let's be honest here, Turkey is the one that's just gonna carry from now on. And I feel like Benavidez, Canelo's, Crawford's, all these people, little by little, either directly or indirectly, they're gonna have to fall in line and kind of start, playing that tune over there, the Arab, the Arab money.
Yeah,
I'm fine with it.
I kind of want to go in and talk a little bit more about that. First, I did want to say, there is another fight supposedly for Canelo. I've heard a lot of rumors, so no, this is not true all the way yet. But Rob, you've been hearing them too, so it made me at least confirm. But it's Canelo versus Jake Paul in May, from what I've been hearing.
So
no fucking way.
I hope it's fake.
I doubt it.
I also found one that supposedly this guy was reached out to by Jake Paul. I'm going to send it to you all. But supposedly he's reached out. He said they have to guarantee that Paul wins, though, like in the contract. And I'm like, that would be fixed, though. So that would be illegal, right? Well, but I don't know, because WWE is a thing and you can bet on WWE. So now I'm confused on whether this stuff is even all the way.
That's typical Jake Paul business. That's all. All that shit is rehearsed.
Well, it's not. It's not out the picture. And here's why I say that. Because if Canelo, he said he never take the Crawford fight. He's taking the Crawford fight. So obviously he wants to retire. He wants to retire. That's all what it would be boiled down to. He's going to take the 2 biggest money fights this year, and he's out of the sport for good.
And you
Or
know
at
what's
least
funny
for a
is
while.
I think him beating up Jake Paul is probably going to get him more money than him fighting anyone, including Benavidez. I think it's more money for him to fight and beat up Jake Paul. I think there's that many people that want to see him lose, and just he has that much of a fan base. I honestly do. I wish I was wrong, but that's what gets me back to UFC for boxing, right? I mean, we're kind of nearing towards that. Sounds like Golden Boy have an agreement with Top Rank, and is Eddie Hearn in on that too? How many people have came in and joined hands with the Turk, as I like to call him?
Practically everyone, other than Al Heyman.
So basically, everybody's out but Al, and Al's on his way anyway. What's that, Bob?
Everybody's making business with the guy, and it kind of like, I don't want to get political, but it kind of reminds me of like the U.S. right now. You know how the U.S. is like saying, Mexico and Canada, you guys are gonna do this. They say, oh no, we're not gonna do this. Okay, fine, raise the taxes, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, fine, we'll do it. I think that's what Turkey's doing. He's putting
you got it.
No, he's not. Listen, this fight with Canelo is going to be at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. He's hosted a card in LA.
Right.
He's talking about hosting more cards in here in the States, not just Saudi. So he wants to use bigger venues for it. He wants to use all the leverage that he can, if he can keep getting these fights.
Well, I want to talk upsides, downsides for this happening. If it is happening, I mean,
it should.
This is, honestly, this is the rebirth of boxing. As far as I'm concerned, this is the old boxing dying. PBC, that was the old boxing. That was what was left. HBO's dead. Showtime's dead. They've been getting shot down one by one. Friday Night Fights is dead. The sport died. We all just didn't know that shit. Jake Paul was the sign of the Antichrist of boxing, and now we have reborn, okay? We're back, okay? We're saved by the Turk, apparently.
Yeah, but not so much Jake Paul, because that's really, to me, that has nothing to do with boxing. That's just circus and BS. But what I did want to say,
exposed what boxing, the gross side of boxing, right? Like that's what he did.
Yeah, that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's not stopped doing it. I know that there'll be some more Jake Paul fights in the future. I don't think Canelo's in that future. But what I wanted to say about Crawford is that I'm like Rob. I particularly don't care to see Crawford fight Canelo. I care to see them both fight, but not each other, especially at 68. Because it's a typical, for one, it's a typical Canelo move. Someone's coming up in weight, several weight classes, or a few, I should say, and never fought in that class before, and is a lot bigger and is a lot stronger than his opponent. And it's typical Canelo BS, right? The other thing is that there's some really, really good competition for Crawford at 60 or 54, whatever he wants to do. And I'm thinking one of them is Virgil Ortiz.
Yeah.
What would you rather see in, spring of this year, or maybe, summer of this year? Ortiz or Canelo?
But there's boots
I'd rather see Ortiz and
boots too.
I'd rather see that combination next year, Ortiz and Boots, and I'd pay good money for those fights.
Well, they tried to do that, and it didn't work because Boots wanted to fight him at 47, and there's no way that Ortiz can do that. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And they try to write it.
They know that. They know that. So that's called ducking. That's what that's called.
That was Duck of the Year.
Yeah.
Other than Canelo's Duck of the Year, but I mean, I think Canelo is like the king duck. He's the Peking duck.
I mean, for this move, yeah. And I say this, I've said it before. Canelo is he's kind of like a belt whore or like an achievement grabber. It's a thief. It's not really. You didn't even achieve that shit. You got given it because you see like weakness in this upper division. You go up, you grab a belt, you vacate that shit real quick because you know the other heavy hitters are coming for your ass. Better Biev, Bivol, You vacate. You go back down where it's safe. This is what he's done. He made up his own division at 155. He's always kind of, I'm better than that. And he's doing that now because he knows Crawford's a big name. Everybody's saying this guy can really box, and he's going to just grab that little achievement. Oh, look, I beat a future Hall of Famer. Boom. But you didn't. You didn't. You outweighed him by fucking 30 pounds.
Well, that's because he's got a great promoter in Mauricio Suleiman.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is that he's never been able to, Benavidez has never gotten that fight with Canelo, and Benavidez' manager is the Samson Lakowitz. Now, Samson Lakowitz has a great relationship with Suleiman. Why wasn't that fight ever done? Why? Because Suleiman is Canelo's fucking de facto promoter.
Yeah, that's for sure. More like his bodyguard.
Franchise champion.
He's more like his bodyguard.
Yeah.
What the
Yeah, and
fuck?
he's taking care of him. But you know what I would love the boxing world to do now is say, fuck Canelo, and then just, not present any fights to him. Other than maybe Bivol again or Beterbiev, big boy shit.
I don't think he's going to rematch Bivol right now.
Probably not. And then Bivol, I was saying earlier, could have a trilogy with Beterbiev. So it might be a long time before we see Bivol fight anyone else. But the other thing is that Crawford should be fighting someone else at 54 or 60. Maybe, what's his name? Charles Conwell.
Okay.
Conwell Crawford. What about a guy who just fought this weekend? Jesus Ramos. He beat Jason Rosario. I'm pretty sure they fought at 54.
Yeah.
I think that could be a pretty decent fight.
Yeah.
There's plenty of fights out there for him. But the topic that that you're presenting right now, I'm going to say this, and this is my big spiel on this whole thing. What sport do we know ever that doesn't have one legit ranking system? One, they might have several divisions, right? But you have a clear pathway to one champion, right? One champion in each league, so something of those sorts. Boxing has been chaotic since the beginning, and we all accepted it and loved it. It worked. It no longer works. We need to have a system in place where there are solid rankings, not utter chaos, to where you have multiple divisions, multiple different rankings, multiple different people getting ranked in different ranking systems, different champions, 10, 20, 30 different champions in one division. No, there needs to be one solid ranking system, one solid champ. Then you get everything the fans want and excited for. Then you get the true battles. Then you get the true champs. Then you get the true fights. That's what it needs.
I agree. It has to have, and it forces so much more of a structure that boxing hasn't seen in a very long time.
I agree with that, man.
Ever seen.
If you have 4 champions in one weight division, they're not champions. You need one champion. Is singular. There's one Stanley Cup champ. There's one World Series champ. There's one Super Bowl champ. NBA's got one champ. Boxing has got champs up the ass.
Agreed. And this cuts way down on that. It adds more validity for the fighters. And really, this is just the future of sports, is where this should have been, unfortunately, a long time ago. I think boxing has needed its UFC. It has needed its version of the NFL and the Major League of Baseball. Like we need that. We have needed that this entire time because nothing forced these people for fights to ever happen. I mean, I've brought it as like a metaphor before. It's like instead of the Chiefs taking on the Eagles for the Super Bowl, it would be the Chiefs saying, "Oh no, we don't want to face the Eagles. Give me the Browns. Bring them up. We'll fight them." It don't make no sense. And now we have at least some structure to it all. Not only that, but maybe our greats will be able to set up something different, just like the NFL players association where the retired players still make some money, maybe even give them a job of some sort. There are other things, and this is better for boxing as far as I'm concerned right now. There is some cons. Let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, obviously, we got one guy who is making fights that even the top fighters are saying, I'm not doing that. Never mind, I'll do that. So he has the power to kind of turn and corrupt, but it would only be really within the Riyadh season of where any corruption would come from. And I think a lot less from the refs. Of course, you're going to still have some crazy off the wall stuff like people getting paid off, but I think it would be fewer and far between.
It does a lot, and the word you use is perfect terminology. Their structure. It does a lot. It can help even the playing field in payments and purse money as well. You're at a certain level, you're worth the millions of dollars. You're worth that purse. You're below that, you below that, move up in standings and rankings and earn your purses. No longer having people just getting 32 million for taking a fight versus Canelo and your William Skull. Okay? Because that's probably my opinion who he's going to be fighting in May. And that is the validity of why we need this structure now in boxing, because you have a guy unknown who just has a championship belt that they're giving out in Cracker Jack boxes right now and has a chance to earn $1 million plus payday just to fight Canelo, and he really doesn't deserve it. Nobody even wants to watch it. And the promoters don't want to see force Canelo to fight 3-4 times this year to earn that 32 million when they just gave him 32 million to fight nobody.
Well, the funny thing is that William Skulls made more in step aside money than he has in purse.
I have no doubt about that.
For now, until he gets the Canelo fight, which obviously tells you how much money he's going to be getting. More money than he's ever seen.
Yeah, I don't want to watch that fight. I don't think anybody's going to watch that fight. I don't. And you're right. Those fights wouldn't be happening because we wouldn't have such messed up ranking systems. I mean, who has him at the top? Which belt is that? Do you guys know?
The one he lost. The one they took from Canelo for taking that last fight that he took.
Oh,
he earned that in which is what they do. Just to explain to the listeners, what they do is they strip a title holder of a belt because he doesn't fight, quote unquote, who they wanted him to fight, meaning who has affiliation with that body. So they strip him of their title, and then they take two random ass people, two Joe Smoes, throw them in the ring together and say, you two fight for the championship.
Yeah. Do you guys see any other maybe cons? There's Riyadh season having so much control.
Well, you know what, the one thing that really gets me is that I can't watch boxing on Saturday morning. I'm working, and it's been a bitch. And when we have it here in California, like we had it at the stadium here in Los Angeles, it was pretty cool. It was a pretty good. It was, I think, a Zurdo Ramirez fight or something, or Crawford. I forget who fought, but it was good. It was good. And there's the other thing is, I've said this before. When boxing is going on in New York City or Las Vegas or Los Angeles, Houston, Miami, wherever it is, Minnesota, Chicago, those cities are lit up, and that's what we need. I can't stand to see our fights go overseas for any amount of money. They belong here in the United States or maybe in London.
I agree.
I like it, and here's why. as long as you're going to do both, as long as you're going to have it both ways, you can worldwide, international, period. I like it because I like the feel of a Saudi fight on Saturday because it lasts the whole day. They put the card together to where it lasts pretty much the whole day. Yeah, do I miss my primetime Saturday nights? Yeah, it was awesome getting that Benavidez on that primetime Saturday night, but I don't need it every weekend. Some weekends I can build my schedule around to where I just don't have to do nothing all day, and I can sit and watch boxing all day long.
Lucky
And I
you.
love that feeling.
I'm hoping this adds also to smaller cards. You know, the UFC will branch off, do a Friday night or something like that, a little other main cards, and that you know, it'll just have something for fighters to reach towards. You know, anybody can become a pro boxer. I mean, you can do it tomorrow. You know what I mean? Just fill out the right paperwork. You can be a pro.
Yeah, Riyadh Season has amassed a lot of power because they even own Ring Magazine now, and that's there's a lot of influence there.
Yeah. Well, before, I mean, there was still influence, but I think it's been renewed. You know, Oscar De La Hoya owned it, and he had the Golden Boy Promotions too. And I didn't really like that because you're like, you have one promotion, you could definitely be, you know, benefiting of that. They never did that, so I still commend Ring for that. But Rob, you wanted to talk about this as well. I know that was one of the things on the agenda.
I'm all aired out tonight because I done went off on a couple of tangents. the only thing is
any other cons, guys, with this? Go ahead, Rob. I'm sorry.
No, that's just what I'm thinking. Like with Turkey now owning Ring Magazine, a lot of us are looking the news there first, and not the ESPNs any longer, and all of that. But I think you touched on a good touch point because of what's happening. All of this just kind of leads in towards Turkey and Riyadh Season owning the sport per se. And at this point, I don't see nothing wrong with it because everything else in this sport has failed us in terms of networks. The networks has left, the apps. Too many people. We don't want to spend all this money on subscription fees plus pay-per-view that you're throwing in at us on top of that to all these different networks and different downloads that we get. That's failing. Top Rank on ESPN, even putting shows together on apps and stuff like for free, but it's not any fights that anybody wants to see. So all of that is alluding to a guy like Turkey coming in and owning the business in the sport. And I'm fine with that. We need that. ESPN, if they want to step away from it, then bring on the Ring Magazine. Let's just bring that back. And that's where we'll get our boxing news from, and that's where we'll get everything, really.
I think it's cool that they're bringing back the physical copies. I mean, some people still want that. You still be able to have it into, you know, barber shops and that kind of stuff, you know.
That's been lacking. It's definitely going to be print, and there's going to be posters involved and everything. It's there's a lot going on with Ring. It sounds like they're doing it right, but I think what they're doing, the best thing that they're doing is letting it be independent. So they're not favoring, up to now anyway, and haven't favored a particular promoter. They've always been very independent.
Yeah.
It's journalism. It's got to be that way.
Yeah, no, and I think they did a good job with that, even when they were owned under Oscar. So I hope that continues. And I mean, it would be cool for them to see them. I mean, let's use the Ring rankings. If Riyadh Season owes them anyway, use the rankings. But does that scare you? Could it end up getting corrupted that way?
I think it could, but I mean, boxing at this rate is, you know,
he said, who cares?
It's kind of like
you're right.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't, kind of thing.
Yeah, you're right. All right. I mean, so Consman, I definitely agree with you guys as far as, we don't want everything to go that way. No, we don't want everything to go to Riyadh. We still want to have our Vegas fights, still want to have New York fights and local main fights here. I mean, it would be nice to have smaller cards. So we don't know if that's in their strategy or not. But as far as the overall presentation, I think for boxing, especially the big fights, that's the way to go. I mean, for everybody to be under one envelope. I never thought we would see the day that somebody would have enough money to try to even do that. I think we've talked about that in the past, Rob. And is it a little weird seeing it come to kind of a fruition right now, and even in its infancy?
No, because they're trying everything else, and it's all failing bad. I would love to look at the numbers for the pay-per-view odds this past weekend on Prime Video. I guarantee you hardly anybody bought it. It's overpriced. They put together a normal telecast and everything like that, but it's overpriced. And to be honest with you, the quality of fights that we're getting at our pay-per-view now versus what we seen prior to on a HBO free fight night, that Benavidez Morrell was a big fight, yes. That was HBO quality back in the day.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I don't know. I'm welcoming all the changes that are coming. I think, and I'm hoping that this could be the best for boxing. I think boxing kind of died, and this is it's being reborn. But I want everybody to have a good rest of your Tuesday. Don't forget to check us out every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Now, next, this weekend coming, there's not really much fights. So definitely be watching our social media at Heavy Bag Boxing for all your boxing news. And that's because of the Super Bowl, I'm sure, guys. I don't want to compete with that. So no fight scheduled at all. Not anything big anyway. But yeah, don't forget to check us out next week, Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Have a good night.